Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 16th, 2024 meeting of the Litchfield Planning Board. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. I guess I will start with the roll call of members. Michael Proto, Chair.
Jared McConnell, Vice Chair.
Jose Medina.
Travis Tucker.
Welcome. You were sworn in, I imagine. Congratulations. Welcome to the board. We have with us this evening Jay Mankara for an RPC, Joan McKibben, our Planning Board Administrator, and Lou Karen, our Town Engineer. The first item is public input on non-agenda items this evening. Any members of the public that have anything to do with non-agenda items not on the agenda?
No, you're not, so you're not an agenda item.
Okay, well, come forward, I guess, and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chairman Crowe. I'm here tonight in regards to Corning Farm at River's Edge. As you are aware, that particular neighborhood now is moving along nicely. We've run across some things, some opportunities, I guess, to kind of to explore. And one of the things in particular was that, as you know, we were building this as a lease property. So it was going to be just homes for lease. In that process, we've realized that we've got just as many people that want to purchase as lease. And I can tell you right now that there's no problem leasing these things. We've got at least 6 calls a day on these, so they're moving right along. We can't keep up with them construction-wise, and that's what we're working at. But it was kind of disappointing to hear the disappointment in the people that when we told them it was just going to be leases. Of course, at night trying to sit back and think of things and thinking of trying how I can solve all problems here. I came up with an idea, and I ran it by the engineers, and I've actually spoken to Jay a little bit about it, to Joan as well as to Lou, in looking at how we could potentially offer some portion of this as condominium. We did come up with a plan for that. It would require a subdivision, just a simple 2-lot to divide it in half. Mm-hmm. Reason for that is because we already have rentals, and if we have rentals, we can't combine rentals with non-rentals because the lending that's associated with the purchases discourages any rentals in the neighborhood. So in other words, if I have rentals and we own more than 10%, it gets rid of FHA, it gets rid of Fannie Mae, it gets rid of Freddie Mac. There's a lot of things, VA if it's more than 50%. So it wipes out basically all the funding available for potential buyers. So the only way that we can make sure that that doesn't happen is to subdivide and have it on its own. So what I've got is I've got a plan that I'd like to share with you. Just quickly. I won't take up much of your time.
You can share.
We'll share.
This is one simple way of doing it, but there's a couple of other ways that we could do it with the subdivision, but this is one that's quick and easy. Okay, so the yellow line that you see on there is the suggested subdivision line, and the reason why it was placed there is in communicating with Lou. Lou is, familiar with condominiums, and he said, if you could keep that road into the private sector side, the apartment side, it would be less worrisome for the people in the association. So we originally had the line on the opposite side of Mustang, but we've moved it over to that side in order to accommodate that. There's another way that we can also do this, and I've got another plan that I could share with you as well, just to kind of give you another alternative. So this one, the pink line, basically accomplishes the same thing. The only difference there would be is that half the road would be maintained by the association, and the other half would be maintained by the state department. Okay. So these are potential locations for doing a subdivision that would allow for the condominium to exist as well as the apartments to exist under the requirements of the zoning, so the density requirements. It meets all of those items that are required under zoning and underneath the site plan requirements. So I'm just here tonight to try to get feedback from the board on what their feeling would be in order to try to offer some of this out as condominium to try to satisfy the people in town as well as people out of town, because we had quite a few people from in town that wanted to purchase here. I know Joan had mentioned she had a friend that was disappointed. And we've run across that quite a bit, actually. So this would give us the opportunity to do something like that if the board is willing. And that's why we're putting this forward. We would come in with a little more detail. We have enough data, we have enough information that we believe we could submit a plan to you for let me just go back a step. We already have a site plan on the agenda for the 7th. And that's simply for the removal of the structure, the old home, and the placement of the new 2 units to review that. So that would be the site plan approval that's on the agenda or will be on the agenda for the 7th. That application's already been filed. I would have the ability to file for the subdivision at the same time. We have enough data, I can get it together quick enough, and I would be able to coincide that. We would be looking for site plan approval for the removal of the building and the potential location of the 2 units. If we could that evening, that would be good, just so that we can get down I'm more concerned with the nuisance that's there for people that are living in the homes. I'd like to try to get the building down. My understanding now that everybody's pretty much on board with that. I've talked to the Heritage Commission quite a bit. They've done whatever they can to try to have people go in and salvage whatever they can, and we're giving them some more stuff. And so we've been working with them, and my understanding from talking with them is that they're all set now, and they want to see this move forward as well. So that would be that process. I would come in for just a preliminary hearing for the subdivision at that time, kind of hash out any concerns or questions on the subdivision, and then bring that forward to the next meeting if everything looks good. Kind of move that process to hopefully final for the following meeting, if that works with the planning board's agenda and us answering all of your questions and whatnot. So that's why I'm here tonight, just to kind of get the temperature of the board for offering the condominiums, so that we can offer both rental and for ownership housing.
Okay. Jay, I suspect you have a couple questions.
Under public comment, anybody can come and address the board and provide comments, but we can't discuss an application that's not on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, I mean, certainly you have filed something. We'll probably be entertaining that in the near future. We appreciate the information, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to hear what's going on. So, but as Jay said, it is public comment, so we really can't comment.
Totally understand. Totally understand.
But I'm sure that when you come back on the 7th, we can have a more detailed discussion.
Appreciate that.
Of the,
I appreciate your time and welcome to the board.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any public input on non-agenda items this evening? Okay. Hearing none, I will close public input on non-agenda items, and we'll go to the first order of business this evening, which is a site plan application for a change of use at 273 Dairy Road, tax map 2, lot 2. The property owner, John and Ben Workinger. Application made by Stephen Marchand, iRoof LLC, former business at the location included a car repair facility and landscaping business. Applicant wishes to have office and storage for a roofing company. Is the applicant present this evening? Why don't you guys come forward to the table, introduce yourselves to the board. And for the record, just say that Jeremy Robertoid, member, welcome, has appeared.
Steve Marchand with iRoof.
Good evening.
Ben working here with the owner of the 273 Derry Road.
Okay.
Last night's CBA meeting, I didn't get a chance to talk to Jeff Blackwell about what happened last night's CBA meeting, so.
Okay, did you,
Last night?
It did get approved last night for
Okay.
the variance. For
it was an approval?
yeah,
Okay,
So contractor services is an approved.
Okay, good.
okay. Very good. Normally, what we do, this is usually a two-step process because this is a site plan application. And what we typically do is we vote to accept the application for its completeness. And then what we do after that is we allow you folks to present this evening what your intentions are in terms of the site plan. And then if the board has any questions, they can ask questions. Then we can refer to our circuit rider and town engineer and so forth. So at this time, and because I believe you folks came to us before, and I think we had had you go to the zoning board to get approval before you could come here to do the site plan, if that's my recollection
Yeah,
of this
we were here
project.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, I will, well, I should ask the question. Joan, have all the fees been paid and all the butters notified for this
Yes.
project? I assume, is there any regional impact to this project? I'm gonna say that there isn't. Jay, have you had an opportunity to look at the plans, address any of the issues that the applicant, is there everything complete as far as you're concerned?
Yes, the application is complete and ready for acceptance.
Okay, very good. So it sounds as though the applicants have a complete application. So at this time, I would entertain a motion by the board to accept the application for completeness.
I'll make a motion to accept the application for completeness.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeremy. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Jared. Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of acceptance for completeness of this application for 273 Dairy Road, tax map 2, lot 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained. Motion passes 5-0-0. Okay, so we have accepted the application. Now I'm going to ask the applicant if you want to do a brief presentation of what you're looking to do. The floor is yours right now, so.
Yeah, I think as we discussed this about 6 weeks ago, we are just currently looking to get a change of use for the existing building located on this site plan. Sure. Building 2. Yep. Had most recently been used as a landscape business. We're trying to allow roofing contracting services business to be allowed to utilize that space. And we just need to get that, looking to get acceptance for that sort of business to be allowed in that building.
Okay. Let's just see here. So you got your variance. Let's see. Doesn't look like there's any state permits or anything, correct? Or are you seeking state permits?
You're not, right?
No. Okay, all right. Any waivers that you're requesting or no?
No.
Okay. All right. And, let's see. And in terms of traffic, would there be any changes to traffic at all based on the change in use of
No.
of the site?
No additional traffic.
Okay. How many people have we employed at this?
6, and then, I don't know, 40, 50 subs.
Okay.
But not out of the site.
Oh, no, not out of that.
Yeah, it
side,
says
no.
3 + 1, correct?
Yeah.
Well, there's 7 of us total, 6 of us total that are employed and then subs, so,
Okay.
and we have laborers.
Um, It looks like you have storage containers or dumpsters on site.
The dumpsters, so there's 2 dumpsters on a trailer.
Mhm.
Those are being sold.
Okay.
So those won't be there hopefully
Okay.
any longer. There's one 15-yard dumpster on site for,
Mhm.
we were doing work there. We are still doing work there, so, but that doesn't stay.
That was one of the requirements last night at the ZBA hearing.
Okay.
There'll be a maximum of one 12-yard dumpster on site.
And your hours of operation will be 8 to 5, is that
Yeah.
accurate? Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant besides myself?
I guess what I'm reading here, I'm assuming it's just a staging area for the office, and then you guys are off in the morning, that's it.
That's it.
Make sense? Okay.
Okay.
Sounds pretty simple.
Okay. It is a minor site plan. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Jay, do you have any comments?
At this point, I think they've really addressed my comments. Obviously, the variance was number one, and the other thing we had asked when this initially came in was to see how the proposed secondary access into the Rose Meadow site was going to happen, and the proposal
Okay.
for potentially putting in some multifamily housing, and the plan that we see now was in response to that. So they've addressed all the concerns that I had.
Great.
Overall, it's, they're pretty much staying in the footprint of the contractor business that was there previously.
Mhm. Anything you want to comment about the proposed access or anything? Okay. All right. Did you talk to like the fire department or anybody about police department at all about emergency access? Did they give you any comments? I'm just curious.
We haven't had any feedback from, I guess Jeff Blackwell did come down and visit the site.
And what was his?
I think he just mentioned that we have to get the change of use
Okay.
to allow this business to be in there, but we've
Okay.
never had any issues. It's a large turnaround in there. And,
Mhm.
we've
So
never-
emergency vehicles could get in there if they needed
Oh, yeah.
to?
Yes.
I guess that's my
Yeah.
question. Okay. Okay. Unless there's any other questions from the board, I will open it up to public comment. Is there any members of the public this evening who wish to comment on this site plan application? Okay, hearing nobody, I will close public comment at this time and bring it back to the board. What does the board wish to do? And I believe, Jay, we can conditionally approve this, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, they have gone through the zoning board, they have gotten a variance. The condition I would also is just make sure you get a copy of the decision for our file, just so that we have it from the zoning board. That will be a condition of approval, if we're gonna do that tonight.
I'll make a motion to conditionally approve the application,
Okay,
barring the ZBA coming back, and that should be about everything, correct?
okay.
I'll second that.
You'll second that? I have a second by Travis. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of the site plan application for tax map 2 lot 2 Sorry, this is. Lost my place. For 273 Dairy Road, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained. All right, motion passes 5-0-0. So you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. All right, next item on the agenda this evening, we have another site plan application. This one's for 65 Charles Bancroft Highway, tax map 3, lot 1, property owner Roderick Lafort. Application by Proscapes LLC, parking at back of lot for several vehicles associated with Proscapes LLC. No intended storage of landscaping materials. Is the applicant here this evening? Would you come forward, introduce yourselves to the board?
Rocky LaFort, I own the property and Proscapes.
Welcome. So we have another site plan application before us. As we did previously in the last site plan application, I'm going to ask Ms. McKibben, do we have all abutters been notified and fees paid for this?
Yes, they have.
And Jay, have you had an opportunity to take a look at the plan for the application?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and you feel that it is complete?
Yes.
Okay. I assume there is no regional impact for this project. So at this time, we will do we'll accept the application for its completeness, having heard from Joan and Mr. Minkara. Does anybody want to entertain that motion?
I'll do the motion, yes.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the acceptance of the application.
Okay, the acceptance of the application. I have a motion by Jeremy. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Jared. Do we have any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion to accept the application for completeness, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. Okay, so we have accepted the application for completeness. I'm going to now ask the applicant to probably give us a brief overview of what's going to happen here, and the floor is yours.
All right. So yeah, what we're looking to do back there is put in a gravel parking area where I can operate the business out of. The primary use is just storage of trailers and vehicles, as well as just getting them ready to leave in the morning, come back at the end of the day.
Okay.
Very minimal traffic in and out. I might be the person who comes and goes the most, but other than that, the employees, once they leave, they're pretty much gone for the day. We're not going to be storing any kind of bulk landscaping materials, nothing like that. The occasional pallet might come off of a truck. If we're going to use it in a couple weeks, it goes back on the truck, gets back off-site. So we have no plans to keep really anything other than the trucks, the trailers, and any other equipment. We have a mini skid and a mini excavator that are there pretty much only in the winter. They're usually on site. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I'm going to assume there's no large deliveries coming for you, right? If one pallet you'll bring in, you'll bring out, but no actual 16 wheelers coming in there at all?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
And you said the noise impact would be pretty minimal, correct?
Just starting the trucks to leave, and
Perfect.
that's pretty much it.
Anybody have anything else? Jay, do you have any comments?
Just a couple. I had some questions of exactly kind of what was happening on the site, how it was going to function. I made some assumptions, obviously, but I was a little unclear. But we did just receive a revised letter outlining it, and just glancing through this, they kind of clarified the house is going to be maintained, rented out to family. The barn stays the same as it is, and the shed's going to be used as an office, so that's where the employees will be coming in and out of. So I think this really helps clarify kind of what's going to be happening on the site. So for me, that's satisfactory. Mixed use is allowed in the district, and this is really the kind of thing I think that we contemplated when the zone was created.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? At this time, I will open it up to public comment for this application. Members of the public that wish to comment on the application. Hearing none, I will now close public input on the application. Bring it back to the board. Jay, are there any conditions of approval that you would recommend, or?
Not that I can see, it's a minor site
It
plan.
seems very
approval.
minor, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we would entertain a motion to approve the application. If you,
I will
if you,
make a
if the
motion.
board so wishes to do.
I'll happily make a motion to approve the application as it stands now.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeremy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jose. Are there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the application for map 3, lot 1. For some reason, it's losing my place. 65 Charles Bancroft Highway, thank you. Tax map 3, lot 1. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained. Motion passes 5-0-0. All right, well, good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, the next item I have on the agenda is Litchfield Estate Mobile Home Park, 13 Charles Bancroft Highway, tax map 1, lot 32. Update on approval of the February 21st, 2023, and compliance hearing. Is the applicant present this evening?
I am.
I'm going to imagine the man with the easel is is the applicant. All right, would you please introduce yourself to the board?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chad Brannon. I'm a civil engineer with Fieldstone Land Consultants, and I'll be representing Patriot Holdings LLC this evening with the Litchfield Estates project. This plan set's rather heavy, so I got to put it all the way down and put it over there.
All right. So just for the board's clarification, this site plan was approved back in February of 2023. And my understanding, this was a mobile home park that was going to be developed. It was listed here on the agenda for compliance hearing. Jay, do we have any updated information? What's going on? I guess maybe you could provide us a little bit of a...
So I think that's really why we're here. As you noted, it was approved well over a year ago, and it was conditionally approved, so the conditions remain outstanding. Joe may be able to articulate some of those, but given the length of time that has passed with the conditions not being addressed, we thought it was prudent to bring this back to the board for a compliance hearing so that we could get an update as to what the status of the project is and
Okay.
whether or not it's moving forward.
Joan, do you know what the conditions are that have not been addressed?
Yes, and I don't know if was the road going to change? No.
So I'd be happy to walk through that if,
All right.
if that's easier.
Sure, why don't you do that? Why don't you
Sure.
provide us with the-
So we have, so since the approval was secured, back in February of 2023, we've spent a lot of time in the state permitting process. In fact, we're still working on securing the final state approvals here. This project has a pretty significant history. I don't know if the board recalls, but there was illegal septic lagoons on the site. So there was a lot of permitting, and the permitting track for this project was lengthy. We had to get initial approvals for the existing park, meaning we had to get approvals for the lagoon closure. We had to get approvals for a septic system that would handle the existing mobile home park. And that system was a two-phased approach. So we got the approval for the field so that we could take the existing lagoons offline. And then the state allowed us to go for the approval of the networking, which would be, septic tanks, sewer piping, manholes, the new pump station, well, everything. So that work has all been done for phase one, or the existing park, if you will. Also with the existing park, there was a complete overhaul of the water system. There was a lot of leaks and a lot of issues with their water system, and so we went through the permitting with that, with Pennachuck Waterworks and such. In parallel, we've been working with the state on the alteration of terrain permit. That permit had a lengthy process because we're right on the fringe of the consent decree with the PFOA, situation. So there was a lot of review relative to, can we do infiltration? What needs to be done on what level? And so we got Terracon involved, and they did a number of did some testing and submitted a report to the Hazardous Waste Management Bureau at the state. And ultimately, they determined that we're outside, because of the testing on site, we're outside of that consent decree. And so we were allowed to proceed with the AOT permitting. And then we went through a pretty lengthy process, review process with the Alteration of Terrain Bureau. Fish and Game got involved. There was, sensitive species in the area, so we went through that process with them. Meanwhile, we had submitted septic designs to the Subsurface Management Bureau for the expansion of the park, but they wouldn't start the review of those until we secured the alteration of terrain permit. And so, excuse me, the permitting process, rather than being consecutive, has really been kind of daisy-chained, and happy to report this evening, the lagoon closure is all approved. It's actually active in about 50% done. The alteration of terrain permit came in on I think it was April 4th of this month, and now the septic permitting for the remainder of the expansion should be coming in relatively soon. We did have to submit an amended approval for the existing park because some of the tank locations and stuff changed with that install, so that's pending. But throughout this process, we have addressed all of the conditions, or the design conditions relative to the town engineer's comments. We did realign the roadway. We made it so that the primary road coming in would be essentially Darcy Lane, and then we put a stopping condition on that intersection where Darcy Lane currently is. We've incorporated all those comments. We did submit road names quite some time ago to the town. We haven't heard back yet on whether those are okay, so that's something that we do have to follow back with the fire department on. But it was, and I did bring a copy of it, but we've addressed the fire department comments. We have addressed LC Engineering's comments, but we have not submitted a plan back to them for review yet, because we wanted to secure the alteration of terrain permit before we did that, and that just happened about a week and a half ago. So things are really starting to come together now. We did go to the zoning board, and we received a variance for a sign out front, so we've incorporated that into this latest submission that we provided to the town. The building inspector had made some recommendations or comments that we cannot have decks on these structures because the setbacks and such. We've added the appropriate notations to the plans as it relates to that. We did add notes to the plans regarding the impact fees and things of that nature. So the state permits that are outstanding are really just septic at this point, for the 54 unit expansion. And, we're really hoping that those will come in any time. Typically septic permitting and reviews are fairly reasonable, but when they are waiting for the alteration of terrain permit, and of course, I was really hoping tonight that I was going to be able to come in and say, hey, we have all the permits, we're done, but somebody decided to take a vacation at the state, and that kind of messed with those grand plans. So in any case, we have submitted everything. We've been actively pursuing this the permitting for this project the entire time. There hasn't been any lapse. There certainly isn't, no efforts that have been against the, securing the permits, but it's just been a long process, and unfortunately, my clients inherited, a project that needed a lot of work. There's been a ton of investment. The existing park has, since been paved. There's been a lot of improvements, through that front end, like we had committed to the, not only to this board, but to the zoning board when we, secured the approvals from them. So, we're happy to be here tonight and to answer any questions that the, board may have as far as where we stand. Typically, we try to secure all the permits before we submit a formal submission that says, here's all the conditions, here's everything that we have to address everything. But nonetheless, we're really close to, being able to do that.
Okay. Joan, does that address what you had, or is there anything else?
Yeah, probably Lou will work on a restoration bond, because they're private roads, you wouldn't have bonding on the roads. But you'll have a lot of disturbed area once you get going.
Absolutely. I think that was one of the conditions, is that LC Engineering would do
Right.
a bond estimate. And we haven't really initiated that because we wanted to get a lot of the review with Lou was, based on securing that alteration of terrain permit and certainly addressing, the remainder of the comments. We have prepared a response letter since securing the alteration of terrain permit. So if there's a particular comment from LC Engineering that somebody has a question on, we believe we've made those revisions to the plans. The plans even that should have been distributed for this evening's meeting. I'm sure he hasn't had an opportunity to look at it because we haven't made that formal submission, yet to him. But we're happy to have an open dialogue about any of those details.
Lou, anything you want to add?
I have to wait till I see it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Seeing is believing.
Yes, it is. That's true. Very true. So Jay, what's your suggestion here in terms of compliance? I mean,
I think that
sounds like they're getting the information or the permitting that they need. It's just taking time, obviously, because it's through the state, and the state takes time.
Right. I mean, from my perspective, I think that's what's really important in understanding it. It was a long period of time, so just kind of understanding where they are in the permitting process, and whether or not there have to be changes to the plan because of issues that might have come up. It sounds like that's not the case, and that it's on track, and that what was approved is what's moving forward. So I think we just look forward to seeing the final plans and getting the permits in hand. And kind of slightly off topic, but I would certainly, I know there have been a lot of challenges for the residents in the existing park, and I certainly hope that the improvements that are happening are well received by those folks.
When do you think you'll get the permits, or the ones that you're looking for? Any time frame?
Yeah, we were hoping to have them for this evening's meeting, so certainly this month. I mean, we're anticipating that they should be in. The state technically doesn't have a time commitment on an amended septic plan, so like the phase 1 approvals for that septic as-built condition, may follow, but we can make a formal submission on the expansion and even if that was still pending, because all of those permits should be secured by the end of the month. That's our hope.
If maybe it would be appropriate for the applicant maybe to do like a status or something where they could, if for some reason things aren't happening, you can come back and just give us an update on what's going on, if that's okay. Just so that we know that things are moving progressively. If you get permits and stuff, obviously you can submit them, maybe that'll alleviate the need for you to come back, but we could do that. But does the board have any questions for the applicant? I should have, do you have anything that you want to add?
I have one question, I guess,
Yeah,
but
go
you
ahead.
mentioned that fire had gone through this already and had no major issues at all. They didn't mention the dead ends here at all as far as turning trucks around, or they were here at 3-point turns?
No, we had provided turnarounds at the, there's actually only, there's this dead end here,
Top
so we
off
had
there.
the turnaround here,
Okay.
hammerhead style turnaround, and then we had one.
As long as they're okay with that, that's
Yeah,
fine.
up there as well. So we have addressed, their comments relative to that. I mean, now that we've secured the AOT permit, I think my plan is to probably make a formal submission at least to, to Lou, with that permit in addressing his comments. As I stated, we've already done kind of a response letter, so we will likely submit that to him, hopefully by the end of this week, to at least get, his, hopefully close out, his review, and that might allow him to work on the bond, estimate at that point. Because we're really just waiting on the septic designs, and that's, the networking isn't the issue. The systems out in the back for septic are pump systems, so, and we're basically going gravity to, a pump chamber to the field. I don't anticipate that's gonna change a whole lot, relative to, the site. And frankly, the site layout hasn't changed, the lot layout hasn't changed. We've made some modifications to some of the stormwater components to address, the alteration of terrain review. The stormwater management areas are in the same location. They just asked for, some pre-treatment or some additional infiltration areas to meet some water quality volume requirements for infiltration. And so the plan that was approved by this board is generally the same, with the normal modifications as we go through a permitting, review.
So it's probably not very relevant now that the prior plan was approved, but with with the septic being shared by many units, I know that in a residential setting, like a running toilet can overwhelm a leach field. How is that managed when you have so many independent units feeding into a leach system?
Well, it's actually a really good question. So this particular owner installs meters on the units, so they can actually they can monitor if there's somebody using too much water, because that's ultimately a charge from Penachuk, on the usage. So that's how they try to isolate, usage if there's issues, things of that nature. And so that's typically how that's monitored. Otherwise, you're just it's going to the field, and if it's just toilet water, it doesn't really have an effluent load, but it is still, it's cycling the pumps and utilizing that field area. But that's how it would be handled here. They have installed, meters on the existing units, and it's my understanding they plan on doing that with the proposed ones as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is a compliance hearing. Certainly, it sounds like things are progressing in the right direction. It sounds just it's a matter of it's just taking time.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think obviously, you're waiting for additional permitting. Lou is going to have to address some of your comments, certainly. So I think what I may recommend is maybe having a status, maybe in a month or so, see where you are, and maybe if Lou gives us the thing, because Lou is our expert, he's our town engineer, we rely on him. So if he feels that everything is going well, and that you're getting everything that you need, and it's going through the process as it should be, then maybe we don't necessarily have to have you come back. But if for some reason nothing's happening, we may have to have you come back just to make sure that we keep this on a timetable, and that it's, I think having a status conference, I call it a status conference, but just a status to see where we are in a month and make sure that everything is going well. So I think I'm gonna ask that we do that as a board, and we can vote on it if we want to make a motion to do that. So, I mean, obviously Lou is going to have comments. Certainly he can provide those to us at the appropriate time, and Jay can review that as well. What does everybody think?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
One question, did DES in their alteration of terrain permit modify the ponds and the drainage systems?
There was one pond that they didn't want us to do infiltration in because of us being close to that consent degree boundary. So we turned that into a wet pond, and then we did some additional infiltration in one other area. And so there wasn't a large revision, but there was revisions like that to address those comments. And I can provide once you have a chance to review it, I'm happy to provide you with the information that we got from the state too. My only question, Mr. Chairman, is our goal is to finalize this as fast as possible. It's been our goal for a long time. Unfortunately, it's taken this long. But we would hope that we have the freedom to communicate with Lou. It doesn't have to go through the board.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah,
we're hoping to be done
Yeah.
before that, but we certainly have no problem coming back if we're not.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna request that we do a status conference with you probably on the 20th of May, which is our third meeting of the month. And that'll probably give Lou time to review whatever you have to submit to him. If Lou thinks it's all good and everything is going in motion, then he can let us know or let the board know, and you wouldn't have to come back on May 20th. If, however, he does have questions or concerns, and there hasn't been anything acted or nothing's happening, I guess, then we may have to ask you to just come back and just to check in with us. But I think that's going to be the motion that I would entertain.
Do you want to have him confirm stuff with Lou by April 30th? If not, come back on May 7th?
I mean, yeah, we can do the beginning of the month. I just want to give him time.
Well, that's our next meeting on the 7th.
May
Right.
7th is pretty,
But that's
heavy
pretty.
already.
So the 21st is our next meeting after that. So,
Right, okay.
and that pretty much covers May. So that's why I was giving him time.
Okay.
So the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st. So does anyone want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to have them come back for a revisitation of the status of this application
Okay.
by May 21st after Lou's approval.
Okay. And I would just condition it that if Lou, well, you have the opportunity to consult with Lou freely on this, and certainly if Lou says that it's okay and before May 21st and gives you the green light, then you wouldn't have to come back on the 21st. But if there's nothing happening, then you will have to come back. So just to make it clear. So we have the motion. Do I have a second?
Is what you said a part of that motion, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second the amended motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to the amendment. Do I have any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is the Stormwater Regulations Appendix D, discussion on updates. As you recall, the last meeting, it was that fascinating. I know, it's great. Stay awake, we got more. Okay, so we did the stormwater, review of the stormwater regulations for the MS4. We were gonna have, I guess, we had met with the consultant and town administrator, and I know that they were looking to do a red line version. Jay, any updates on that, and do you have anything?
No, and we did not hear back from the consultant, and we did not get a red line version.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get on the main.
No, I didn't get anything.
We got a version the next day from Kim, but
But there was no red line?
no,
No, it was the same one we got before.
Right.
Okay,
it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
okay.
So it just makes it a little more challenging to kind
Well,
of figure out
yeah.
what's changed.
I don't even think
Um,
they changed either.
He probably just fixed the numbering.
Yeah, probably.
And that's probably it.
Yeah.
And
that's
one
about
typo
it.
we found.
Okay.
Because we also request, Lou, you requested some changes.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Really want to hear?
Just the highlights, Lou, just the highlights.
Keep it brief. No, I'm just kidding.
Keep it brief. A heck of a lot of definitions in here that
Right.
weren't there before, but
Says
that's okay.
2.3.
They don't affect
Then it
anything.
gives you the same number. I don't even think the numbers changed either. And then when you scroll down all the way, it says 2.0.
I think that's general comments for section 2 amendments.
So every page is numbered 10 of 13.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
The page number's definitely wrong.
Yeah, it's still the same.
So,
So he didn't do nothing.
Well,
anyhow,
I don't know.
moving
Yeah,
ahead
it's
with
also,
more substantial items.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess we'll have to revisit this. Obviously, I don't know, maybe, Joan, maybe you could talk to Kim when she comes back. See if there's a possibility we could get a red line version and schedule this for a workshop or something.
Yeah, I mean.
Do we need to, I don't know if we need to act on anything.
Well, then, the hearing from May 7th, I would assume is off.
Didn't
It's
it-
gonna have to be until we get,
I mean,
Didn't
and
he
just
say we
to,
had a deadline that we have to get
June.
it?
well, there is a
June.
deadline, yeah,
June.
because it's,
Right.
June is the, for the
So
MS4.
he needs to come in ASAP.
yeah, I mean, but just to add to the importance of the red line version, it's important for all of us to be able to
Yeah.
understand what's
Right.
changing. But also, when we post this for a public hearing, we have to be able to show the public,
And explain to them.
this is existing and this is what's changing, so we have to have a red line version.
Yeah.
What is on for the next hearing, John? Do we have, is it a
Should
lot of
send it
stuff
to
or?
Yeah, we have a gun, home occupation, assembly and sales, Corning Farm amendment. I don't know if we'll get the subdivision in time, but, Mel's amendment to change from drive-through to walk-through light, Christmas lights,
Mhm.
and Thoreau amendment to add some parking out front.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
Can we split it in half? Put one out of the big.
2-year-old.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we would still have time if we put it to the second meeting in May. I think we could still have
You
time to
think we would
advertise
still
for
have
a
time
hearing in
to-
June.
yeah, okay. I guess we're gonna need to do that at the 22nd. I mean, obviously, that's gonna be the focus, is the red line version for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then,
And Lou's also got some pretty substantive comments.
yeah, so I think that's probably what we're gonna have to do. I think it's the end of June is the, somewhere around that.
Somewhere in
June, yeah.
Pleasure.
So I think we may still have time to get it, a public hearing in.
So here's one item that I think is a
Yeah.
big item just to think about. For the larger 1 acre plus,
Okay.
there's basically a whole new section on that. And they start off with the second line in this thing, to that section, talks about a stormwater management permit application. So my mind starts turning around and saying, okay, somebody comes in for a subdivision approval, a subdivision plan, or a site plan. How does this stormwater management permit, which requires specific approval and sign off on the planning board, how does that correlate to a site plan approval or a subdivision approval? Just something to think about. I don't have an answer for it. But it seems like there's another administrative function that's added to this. Maybe it's required by the EPA, I don't
Yeah.
know. But, and then along with this permit, there's an awful lot of stuff that drags behind like a train. This thing is just the engine. Probably 40 cars and a caboose tied onto this thing about reports and on and on. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive and could be pretty expensive, perhaps for the town, perhaps for an applicant. And then what happens when a subdivision gets approved and you sell all the lots? Who becomes the owner or the responsible party? On a site plan, a little less of an issue because site plan usually has one owner.
That's a good question.
That's a good question when they're splitting up, especially what we had in the beginning of the meeting. We split in condos now to townhouses. So what happens, who's responsible for
Yeah,
that?
what I mentioned to him, and that's a good point, was the fact of the road. I live in a condo association, and I actually have been sitting on the board for this condo association for about 6 years now. And to get things done through a condominium board is not the easiest thing in the world.
No.
And then to raise fees is even more difficult. So I told Reggie, if you're gonna do this thing, you really need to have that road in with the owner of the apartments. Because they're gonna be a responsible organization, you're not dealing with 35 or 40 unit owners trying to figure out what to do. And you really want one party responsible for the road maintenance, services, snow plowing, stuff like that. And then you got a detention pond down the bottom of the hill. And I would really want that to be assigned to the non-condominium portion of the project. Because
Yeah, so
I'll tell
who's
you,
responsible for the snow removal or
well,
anything in that?
the snow removal for the driveways, you'll do a contract, that's what we do. We have drives, we have 5 different drives off one public road. And we contract that to somebody. So the drives, I see it a lot easier, but when you start talking about a longer road, the expenses, I'll tell you, the expenses have really gone up. I mean, this guy's a landscaper, they do snow plowing in the winter. He's gonna do okay if he can get some of these clients, because, I'm not kidding, we saw our fees go up quite a bit, just supplying and getting labor. We had guys say we won't do it because we were requiring him to shovel the sidewalk from the drive to the steps of each unit. And it has to be done by hand for almost all the units. And one guy told us, I can't find labor. I can't hire enough people to do that.
You can't find nobody now to work.
Yeah, it's
Somehow
tough
they
out
got
there.
money.
So-
Keep getting money.
If you can keep, on Reggie's thing, keep the infrastructure for the road in one hand. There's some infrastructure that goes with the driveways, there's catch basins and pipes, and they'll have to take care of that. And it shouldn't be a problem, because you usually don't have to do much for them. But the road I get concerned about, and this permit application requires annual reports, on and on and on. And some other things, like construction inspection, they want a pre-burial inspection for drainage items, meaning they lump the pipe in and they want it inspected before you bury it.
Yeah, you have.
And that could take a long time. I mean, you could have somebody on the site full-time.
Right.
And for a site, I don't do that because the town will never own it. So if the contractor decides to skimp or, hire a contractor who's not that reputable and doesn't get the compaction right and a pipe collapses, the town's not gonna be an issue. They're gonna have to deal with it themselves. Town road, different story. Town road is a different story. I'm out there, we asked for soil samples for the gravel and the crushed gravel, and you're out there checking the subgrade, the gravel grade, the crushed gravel grade, and the whole time that they're paving, and on and on and on. It's pretty intensive for a town road. But
When it's private,
for,
you don't know what's
for
gonna
private, on a site plan, I mean, you could be forcing someone to be on site for months at a time.
How much of those requirements are required for compliance with the MS4, and how much is just extra?
That I couldn't tell you, because I don't know what
I think
EPA
what we
is
need to do
requiring
is
from
have
an
the
MS4.
consultant come back
Consultant,
for
yeah.
that meeting, and we're gonna have to ask him a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And then you have your original or plans on this appendix D had a map that said, these are the MS4 areas, there's a north area and south area.
Mhm.
But the new regs say this applies to the whole town. Which may not be, somebody's property may not be in an MS4 area,
This for this.
but it'll apply to that site house. That I don't have a problem with, because at least it makes it
Well, it makes it
uniform
uniform,
across the
exactly.
entire.
You don't want it, here, there,
And
and,
then,
yeah.
there was one other thing that seemed to allow off-site mitigation,
Mhm.
which I haven't seen here in Litchfield, or actually any towns I've worked in. I see it with a state highway project where they have a big wetland impact, and they can do off-site mitigation by either purchasing land off-site in the same drainage area, and you have to have easements or own it or whatever. And this is kind of following that same premise that you could do it off-site, could be in another town. And I don't know if that's something the town of Litchfield really wants to have in their regulations.
Well, that's an interesting discussion between the federal government and local control, but, yeah, that, no, I understand that.
It'd be hard to monitor and manage something like that.
Yeah. Right.
And again, this permit, the person who owns a piece of property could change over time, many times over. And it could be a single home that happened to have a swale that goes through it. And all of a sudden, this guy becomes the permittee, and he has to do reports on this swale every year and hire a professional engineer to come in and
Yikes.
look at it and, yeah, ask a homeowner if that's what they want to do. I don't think so.
That'd be a significant deed restriction. That would not be good.
It's pretty comprehensive.
It is comprehensive.
Yeah.
Um,
And then degradation, they talk, one paragraph in there says, you shall not degrade natural waterways that are on the site. Okay, so how do you know if you've made it worse? You need a baseline. So now you have to go, there's somebody out there to do a biological, chemical, and there was another category of what the baseline is. You got two streams on the site, you gotta do it two places.
Right.
And if you have wetlands, you might have to do it in the wetlands. And, it made my head spin, thinking the developer is gonna look at this stuff and say, shit, I'm going to Vermont. Actually, Vermont's not that much better, because they had an Act 250 many years ago, maybe Maine.
Yeah.
Or another community, not an MS4 community.
All right, so I guess that's what we're probably gonna have to do is have the consultant come back, and I think we're gonna have to schedule it for the 21st of May. I mean, if we feel that we need, at that point, if we feel we need to get, because we have to have a public hearing, I understand. If we have to get in a special meeting or something, we can always do that, but I guess find out from Kim Kleiner if, if that,
If you can come back the 21st?
Yeah, I just want to make sure she's okay with that, and, because I know that there is a deadline for all of this, and
What's the deadline, just in case?
June something.
it's June.
Well, if we put it to the
It's the end of June.
21st, then I remember the deadline was in June,
Yeah,
but we could still make
I
our
think
May
it's
4th meeting for a public
June
hearing.
19.
was it June 9th?
That sounds about
Something on
right.
June
I
19.
was gonna say the
Yeah,
17th.
it was at the end of June, yeah, it was
so I
somewhere.
think it's June 19.
Yeah.
Something here says on my end,
Okay,
so I think that's the deadline, June 19.
So if I'm counting back correctly, Joan, if we have it on the 21st and we
Have
vote-
what, have the,
if we have the hearing on the 21st and we vote to send it to public hearing, then.
wait a minute.
Well, no,
Four
I'm
weeks
sorry.
after that.
If we have.
Discussion
The
for the
discussion
21st?
on the 21st and we
And
vote
then
to
vote.
send it to public
Yeah.
hearing,
yeah,
we would have enough time to
On the
notice a
4th.
public hearing for the 4th.
Yeah.
For the fourth.
Right.
Okay.
And that would make the deadline,
Deadline right there.
yeah.
Yeah, real deadline, yeah.
In fact, it would even give us leeway, because we have a meeting on the 18th.
Right.
So if the deadline's the 19th, it actually, we built in another meeting
if we
just
wanna
in
do
case.
something else out there, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
All right,
that,
that
that
makes
still works.
Yeah, hopefully there are not even more changes that we need to request at that point. But
Right.
Well,
so hopefully between now and the next meeting,
yeah, well,
there's enough time for the consultant to implement the changes that Lou's requested. Because if there are things in the proposed regulation that are not required, then we should probably strip those back because it's definitely a very heavy regulation.
I think that's right.
yeah.
And I suspect there were 3 people here this evening for this item. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's interest
Yeah.
in this on the part of the community.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone
get
doing, or thinking of doing property development in Litchfield would be really interested in this,
Yeah.
because it's gonna affect their cost to develop.
Yep.
Yeah, when we consult with the consultant, let's definitely request that he removes parts that are not required based on your expertise on what would be excessive. But
I'll give Nick a call.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, but I will.
Yeah.
Spent quite a bit of time on this particular one, because the last one, the way it printed out, it overprinted something. It was weird. Anyhow,
Okay.
I got a clean one,
Mhm.
and I can talk to him about it. Some of the changes are minor, but there's some big.
No, I think there are
items here that
some,
cost
you know, I think those are, you know, concerns that we need to at least address.
And we'll request the red line, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, very good. Committee reports, any reports from any committees?
Nothing from me.
Nothing from you, Jeremy, your economic development, right?
Yep, economic development, no updates based on our last meeting.
Okay. Conservation Commission met at the beginning of the month. Nothing much to report there. You have a meeting tomorrow, a special meeting for NRPC, correct?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I will not be at that meeting. Sorry. I have another meeting I have to go to, so. Yeah, so if anyone's interested in going to, it is a public meeting, so if anyone's interested in NRPC.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about the other one tomorrow.
The training, got it, okay.
Sorry.
That's all right, no.
See you later.
The Lower Mer, I think I mentioned last time, Lower Mer River Advisory Committee had met on the 28th of March. I don't think they've met since. Good night, Lou, thank you. Trying to think. Capital Improvement Committee, we pushed it off from April to May, so we will have one of those, and I think that's all I have for committee reports. Approval of the April 2nd, 2024 minutes. Did anyone have an opportunity to take a look at those? Have any questions?
I did do a review of the section that concerned me the most, the
Yeah.
initial part,
Yeah,
and it was greatly cleaned up.
okay.
So
Oh,
this is
January,
January 2nd?
January 2nd, yes. It was
Okay.
significantly adjusted and made much more, I'll say it was using common English,
Okay.
and I didn't have any outstanding verbiage and that kind of stuff there.
Oh, they
so-
are on the site. I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up there,
It's not on the agenda, though. right?
Yeah, I missed that one.
You missed that one, okay.
so. But no, yeah, it looks much better to me.
Yeah, I
Does
read,
everybody, how does everybody feel about that?
I read through it and I didn't notice any problems with the
Okay.
January 2nd minutes.
Okay. Well, do you want to entertain a motion to
I think
approve
we
them?
might be able to pass this one. I will make a motion to approve the January 2nd minutes as they are now standing.
Amended, okay, and do I have a second?
A second that?
Second by Jared, any further discussion? All those in favor of the approval of the January 2nd, 2024 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained. Motion passes 5-0-0. Okay, what about April? April
I
2nd?
Noticed in the April 2nd with the April minutes that, it states that I abstained from, nominating Michael Croto as chair, but I would assume that, Michael, you probably abstained? from
Yeah,
that?
I did.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to change it to, you abstained.
Okay.
And that's all I noticed.
Anything else?
I did nothing on that one.
All right, and now entertain a motion to approve them as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended April 2nd, 2024 minutes.
I have a motion by Jared. Do I have a second?
I will second Jared's motion.
Second
to
by
approve
Jeremy.
the
Any
April 2nd motion.
further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the April 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained. Motion passes 4-0-1. Okay, thank you. Let's see. So we're on any other business?
We do have some.
We do have some
Okay.
business. All right, Joan, we'll start with you.
Okay, so the bylaws are on the website. But You're
Oh, yeah.
supposed to take a look at those.
Yes.
And then see if you want any amendments. They're pretty lengthy.
Yeah, I briefly reviewed them and they're
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Right.
And there are not many things that would require changing.
Okay.
Like,
Do we want to, I think we should schedule a meeting, or one of the meetings, to just go over them as board and
Agreed.
make sure we're all good with, so that way we can amend them if we have to.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that on the 21st, or, I mean, I know we have a lot on the next meeting. I don't know if everyone's going to be wanting to do
21st,
bylaws.
okay.
is there any urgency with this test?
No,
There is an urgency, but we do need to update them.
or
It's
just
been a while.
review them.
I wasn't gonna go on vacation, but if we do this, I might go on vacation.
Okay.
21st?
The 21st. No, I'm
I
kidding.
think I'm going.
Yeah,
Okay.
whenever you guys wanna do it.
Well, whether you're here or not, they got to be done.
You can agenda, and then if everybody just has a chance to take a look at
Just
it.
take a look at them,
Yeah.
and then we can, if there's any changes you want to make, we can discuss it at the 21st.
21st, okay.
And we'll just put them on the agenda for the 21st, I
Okay.
guess, just to make sure that we know that they're on there.
And then the other item is, the budget committee wanted all the departments to review their fees. So I did scan this in, I'm sorry that it's sideways, compared Litchfield to Hollis and Chester as far as fees schedule. And, pretty good actually. So do you wanna,
So there's no, they just wanted,
to see if we're collecting enough fees,
okay.
but we do need to, come up with a fee for a conditional use permit fee. We have been charging $125 for conditional use. It hasn't really been set yet.
Okay.
How much is that the town's charging for?
Chester charges $275. Hollis didn't charge anything,
And how much are we charging now?
$125. The same thing, we charge $125 for amended site plan,
Gee,
and the other,
Can we get
Hollis
some
is
more
only
data
charged
points by
$75.
chance?
Hmm?
Can we get some more data points besides just those two towns?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kinda hard to compare, but I'll look
Because
around.
they're kind
Okay.
of vastly different.
Yeah,
So-
small and then huge.
Yeah.
I guess what work goes on behind the scenes that those fees account for?
Well, if Jeff has to review things, all the paperwork, handling.
So,
Yeah.
would there be any data on the amount of hours that our staff utilize? Because that's like the main cost to the town.
Hard to say.
Well, I guess maybe get some more comparisons.
More
of
comparisons,
See
okay.
what we can see, yeah.
What about a
It'd
budget?
be hard to itemize Jeff's time, exactly. He's not really a lawyer billing per minute, so.
You mean charge?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how
Yeah,
that,
they were-
that process in terms of the
Hollis
review.
current mail rate,
Right.
and Chester
Yes,
$10.
exactly.
Yeah, a code enforcement.
Do we know how long we've been charging 125?
Quite a while.
Quite a while.
Maybe it's time to bump it up a little.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, this fee is such a small percentage of most of these plans is costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like a few $100s is rounding
Yeah,
error.
subdivision is
Exactly.
pricey.
Good idea.
No,
Yeah, other towns.
I'm assuming the review process is similar to whatever town we have to go to, so.
If everybody's high and we're that low, then.
Right.
then maybe we gotta
Change.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
let's-
if we see other towns lower or closer to us, then we know we're in the right track.
Right.
You know, like permits, you could be here $110 to go to Portsmouth, it's $500 for a permit.
Okay,
All right. Anything else, Joe?
that's it.
Oh, sweet.
Jay, do you have anything?
I do not.
I do know that the May 8th is the thing at Labella Winery.
Yes, so hopefully everybody got their invites. Our focus is water quality, water supply and quality.
Right.
So we've got the DES commissioner coming and the CEO of Penachuk coming. We may have another person as well. And I
May
suspect that
Yeah.
PFAS will be a major.
It's the NRPC annual,
Okay.
kind of like, what was it, annual event?
Annual forum.
Annual forum, they call it, yeah. It's at the Labella Winery in Amherst.
I think you sent me that.
Also, I did see through my email, May 11th, there is a planning and zoning workshop. I think it's by the state. It's, well,
Yes.
actually, it's remote, so you can do it online, it's free. Just for everybody, yeah, there it is. That's a great opportunity to get on that, and, obviously they'll be doing presentations about the role of planning boards and zoning, and I think it would be a great opportunity for everybody to, take the opportunity to watch that, so.
And I don't know if I'm giving away a secret, but
uh,
for somebody like me, I can't bear to sit there remotely and watch an all-day seminar. But if you register, you will get the presentation after the fact. So,
Okay.
at least that's the way it's been in the past. So just saying.
Good to know.
So if it doesn't come out that way, you could all yell at him next
So
time.
sorry. I do that sometimes for webinars that I know I won't. Be
That's.
No, I didn't know that, okay.
I have soccer all that whole entire day, so that'd be a great way for me to get the actual presentation stuff.
If they do that, then.
Thank you, Jay.
If they don't, I'm sorry.
Well,
But
it's
if
a
you're
chance.
interested in watching the webinar, you can do that as well.
Right.
That's up to you guys. So I throw that out there. And I think that's all I have. I don't think I have anything else. All right. Well, I don't have any other business. So unless anybody else has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn for the evening.
I have a motion by Jeremy. Do I have a second?
I'll
A
second.
second by Rosé. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, abstained. Motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we will see you in May. Hope your spring is going well, and we'll see you soon. Good night.
So did you hear the other bad news? I don't know how public this is.
So what did I miss with Richard? What was that all about?